You know, bleeding late in pregnancy is something that understandably causes a lot of concern, and for good reason. So today, we're going to break down one of the key reasons it can happen, a condition called placenta previa. Let's get right into what it is, and more importantly, how it's managed. So right off the bat, why is this taken so seriously? Well, because bleeding in the third trimester isn't just a random symptom. It's a potential warning flare. It often points directly to an issue with the placenta, the life support system for the baby, which is exactly why it requires immediate medical attention. Now, the source material tells us there are two main culprits when it comes to placental bleeding, placenta previa and placental abruption. They sound kind of similar, but they're actually very different conditions. For this explainer, we're going to zero in specifically on placenta previa so we can really understand what's going on. All right, so let's dive into our first section. What exactly is placenta previa? It really just comes down to one thing: location, location, location. With placenta previa, the placenta has attached itself way too low in the uterus, so low, in fact, that it ends up partially or even completely blocking the cervix, the exit door. And that specific placement is the root cause of all the complications. And this brings us to the classic telltale sign: painless, bright red bleeding. Think about it. As the pregnancy moves along, the uterus has to stretch. If the placenta is positioned down low, that stretching can disrupt it and cause bleeding. And that word, painless, is really a key differentiator from other conditions. It's a major clue. Okay, so you might be wondering, when does this usually become an issue? Is it a problem right from the very beginning of the pregnancy? And the answer is usually no. It's typically considered a complication of the second half of the pregnancy, generally after that 20-week mark. It often makes its appearance in the third trimester, and that makes sense, right? Because that's when the uterus really starts to stretch and get ready for the main event. So let's just put all the pieces together here. The classic sign we look for is that painless, bright red bleeding. The number one risk, and the whole reason it's watched so closely, is the potential for a serious hemorrhage during labor. And because of that risk, sometimes the baby may need to be delivered preterm, just to keep both mom and baby safe. So, we've got a handle on the problem. Now for the most important part: how is it managed? Let's walk through what happens after a diagnosis is made. Okay, so what's the game plan? The good news is there's a very clear and really effective protocol in place for this. It's basically a three-step approach. First up is pelvic rest. That means avoiding anything that could irritate the cervix and kick off a bleed. Second, there's super careful monitoring of both mom and baby to catch any issues right away. And finally, in most cases, the plan includes a C-section delivery. It's just the safest way to deliver the baby without disturbing the placenta at all. The whole goal here is to safely manage the pregnancy and keep it going as long as possible. If that placenta is still blocking the exit route when the due date gets close, a C-section becomes the safest path forward. It completely sidesteps the risk of hemorrhage that would come with a vaginal delivery. And really, it all boils down to this one simple but powerful idea: timely diagnosis and careful management are the keys to a safe outcome. It just highlights that this is absolutely a manageable condition. It's not about panic, it's all about proactive, informed care. And that's our deep dive into placenta previa. It really goes to show how taking a situation that sounds scary and just breaking it down, understanding the what, the why, and the what's next can make all the difference. Which really brings us to this final thought. When you understand exactly what you're dealing with, a scary situation just becomes a path you can navigate.